Hi everyone, it's Alan with your real estate tips and tricks for the week of September the 22nd, 2014. Yes, September 22nd. It's unbelievable this year what we're getting in terms of weather. I want to really encourage you to get out there and get those photographs of the houses you're going to be listing over the next few months, because it probably isn't going to get any better than it is right now. Speaking of photography, let's talk a little bit about a few technologies that you might want to consider taking advantage of. First, when it comes to the new iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus, essentially bigger versions of the iPhone 5S with some new features built in, but the only really big leap in technology when it comes to these new phones is the cameras. They're still an 8 megapixel camera. They still take beautiful quality photographs, but there's a new focusing technology built into these new iPhones that rivals that was only previously offered in big, bulky digital SLR cameras. So this will allow you effectively to take photographs of the exterior of homes, likely rivaling those you'd be able to get with a professional camera. For the interior, I'm still a bit concerned about lighting conditions and the size of the lens. There's a good chance you're not going to be able to get enough light into the lens to have a great quality photograph provided, but certainly on the exteriors with one of these new phones, you'll be able to go ahead and leverage this great technology to get great photos with the phone that's already in the palm of your hand. So something to consider. Now, this next bit doesn't necessarily deal with photography, but it does deal with videography and essentially utilizing video in order to communicate with your clients. If any of you dialed into our live on-air broadcast last Monday when we were having a question and answer session with the executives from Royal LePage, you may have been intrigued by the technology. The cost of hosting this on-air live broadcast, available to anyone on the planet, we had people watching from Hawaii and overseas, the cost, zero. How about this? How about hosting a question and answer session for your local neighborhood when it comes to real estate, and then promoting it through the use of flyers, just stating that me, Joe Realtor, I'll be hosting an on-air live broadcast on Google Hangouts at this time. Dial in and ask your questions about real estate. I think it's a great way not only to show that you're engaged with technology and trying to promote yourself a little bit differently, but to be able to add value into people's lives. So consider Google Hangouts and their live on-air broadcasts, and if you're considering getting a new phone, think about the new iPhone 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. Whenever we're dealing with new homes, we're always plagued with this question of GST and the transitional tax. It's ultra important that you remember to advise your clients, particularly your sellers, early on in the listing, that they have to provide the buyer with a contract of purchase and sale of a new home addendum. This is a legal requirement, and fines can exceed $10,000 for sellers who don't comply. In other words, the government wants us to address the GST issues prior to coming to terms on an agreement. It's ultra important, and you know who's going to be facing the questioning line when it comes time to accounting for this GST if it wasn't addressed before we get to the closing. It's the realtors and their heirs and missions insurance in all likelihood that's going to come into play in the event that it hasn't been addressed. Now remember, new home construction and substantially renovated homes both attract GST. In fact, all real estate attracts GST unless it qualifies for an exemption, i.e. a resale home that somebody has lived in. It's really important that your clients get independent legal and accounting advice when it comes to GST, particularly if it's new home, if it's been substantially renovated, and the calculations for substantial renovation are long and arduous. I'll include a link to them in the bottom of this YouTube video, but it's really important that they get advice from someone other than you as the realtor. Has the home been substantially renovated by 90% or more? That's a great question for a tax accountant or advisor. When it comes to representing your buyers, I would really recommend that you utilize the following clause in your addendum, and maybe even write into your purchase price, including or excluding GST. Make it abundantly clear as to what's happening with the GST when you're making your offer, so that the seller can address it in a counteroffer in the event that you're wrong. My advice when you're representing a buyer, in the absence of advice from a seller or a seller's agent regarding the GST, is to include the following. It is the seller's position that there is or is not, and have them tick the appropriate box, GST applicable on the sale of the subject property. The seller's position as per the GST will determine the applicability of the GST on this transaction. Therefore, The buyer's agent makes no independent representations as to the applicability of GST or any available rebates, but shall be entitled to rely on the information disclosed by the seller or the seller's agent. If a buyer requires further advice on the effect of GST on this transaction, the buyer should seek independent advice from a qualified tax accountant. This is a great way to get the message really clearly both to your buyer and to the seller and their agent that we're not going to stick our neck on the line here when it comes to GST. It's the seller's responsibility to determine and state the applicability of the GST. No one else can answer that question because no one else knows the seller's situation. I was asked the other day by one of our senior realtors how he can protect himself when dealing with a listing that's offered by a discount brokerage and is only paying a small commission to the buyer's agent. The MLS Rules of Cooperation state that the only commission that needs to be offered as a cooperating commission is $1. So be sure to check the realtor comments and the cooperating commission to see what the commission structure is. And then I'd recommend the easiest thing to do is to have a conversation at the front end of your introduction to your buyers, discussing what you anticipate earning. Now, the Real Estate Board has always encouraged us to utilize the exclusive buyer's agency contract to be sure you earn your due when it comes time to writing an offer. I know there's a lot of resistance to using those forms. I can appreciate it and understand why. But it's not unreasonable to have that conversation with your buyers beforehand so that when you get into the situation whereby a lesser commission is being offered by the listing agent than you expect, you can have that permission in writing from your sellers to go and negotiate your fair commission in advance of presenting an offer. So how do you do that? Well, you use the form from web forms called seller's fee agreement, buyer represented, seller not represented. Now, this isn't saying the seller isn't being represented by another brokerage. It's just saying that we're not providing the representation to the seller in this instance. In that form, it would lay out what you anticipate to earn as the buyer's agent representing the buyer and that it will be paid by the seller. It all boils down to communication in the front end with your buyer so they understand the situation and understand that you deserve to earn a living based on the hard work that you're putting forward for them. I read a recent article online by a gentleman named Ken Cook that talked all about client engagement and how the nature of business has really changed in recent years. As you and I can both attest as realtors, clients have access to so much information that our value can't solely come from being an information provider. We have to find different ways of adding value to the consumer experience and making sure that they see value in what we do for them as realtors. The best way to do this, argues Ken, as do I, is to develop relationships with our customers. In this article, Ken Cook suggests that we invert the sales funnel, that we stop looking at our sales process as effectively jamming as many prospects as we can into the hopper and hoping that one or two good clients pops out the other end. Why not look at the other end of the sales funnel, those clients who have had great engagement with us and who love us for what we've done for them? Why not use their testimonials to broadcast to the universe just how great you are? In doing so, you likely attract more of the same, which is perfect. You want to build relationships with people you get along with. So when you've got a great client, someone who's really enjoyed the experience working with you, even if it hasn't been in real estate, for those of you who are new to the business, people who have utilized your services in the past, either in a volunteer role or in a work situation previously, try and get them to give you some kind of a testimonial that you can use in the same circle or the same sphere in order to leverage that experience. How about taking out an ad in your local community paper? How about taking out an ad in your local country club paper or newsletter? And use those kinds of testimonials from high-profile individuals or people who really just love what you can do for them to try and attract more of the same. Always look for the low-hanging fruit. The people who love what you do already are likely the kinds of people you want to attract in the future. Don't overscreen your prospects, though. It's important to remember that just about anyone can turn into a lead for you. It may not be them that winds up buying a house tomorrow, but they may have a friend or a family member that they can refer to you. So what's the harm in having a cup of coffee? I'm always impressed with watching some of our senior realtors go to extraordinary lengths in order to build relationships with people who may not be able to deliver a paycheck to them at the end of the day. I was always impressed with one of my mentors, someone who I work closely with, that would always do once a year essentially a pro bono commission, something where they would give back the entire commission to somebody who really could use the favor. It's called karma, and it goes a long way to establishing your reputation in a particular network or neighborhood. Just imagine the reputation you would build for yourself if someone was in dire straits in selling their homes and you walked away from your commission on it because it was the right thing to do. You know that message is going to be shared with other people, and you know that people are going to appreciate what you're doing. Now, I'm not saying give your commission away all the time. I'm just saying sometimes it's the right thing to do, and in doing so, you'll build your business in other ways. The best relationships in selling are sincere friendships. Why not be friends with your clients? Friends use friends to do business, and friends refer friends to others. There's no reason why you can't have hundreds of friends in the real estate industry that are interested in using your services. I'd encourage you to look to build friends and think about that as a model to building your business.
Hi, sir. How are you doing?
Doing all right.
Have you thought about your success?
I have not.
No. Excuse me, sir. Have you ever thought about your success and who's helped you become successful?
No, not really.
Have you ever thought about your success and who has helped you become successful?
Haven't really thought about it.
This is surprising.
All right, y'all done? I am. Okay. So as you can see, we have a telephone booth here, okay?
Yeah.
What I want you to do is I want you to call Zita, and I want you to read this letter to her out loud.
Okay, here goes.
Hello?
Zita. Hey, it's Faith.
Hello, Dad.
Hey baby, this is Mom.
It's gonna be weird a little bit, but we are shooting a video here. Don't curse, okay?
I wrote a little letter because you motivate me daily, and I just wanted to say thank you.
There's so much that I could say to you right now.
Thank you for being there for me all the time.
You always ask how your mother's doing. Just checking in is so helpful.
You're a strong woman that raised me to be the man that I am today.
You've helped me so much achieve one of the greatest dreams I've had, to own my own place. You've had my back through everything, even when I'm questioning who I am or what I'm doing.
Oh my gosh.
I will always remember how proud you were when I graduated high school and then college.
I appreciate you for thinking about me before thinking about yourself. This is why you are my friend, brother, business partner for the rest of my life.
You always remind me of my greatest self and showing love and gathering people together.
I love you more than you will ever know. Hugs and kisses, Mommy.
I love you too, Mom.
Aw.
I know this is not something that I usually say, but just wanted to call you and tell you that.
Thank you. I love you, brother.
Okay. All right, bye.
Thanks for always being there.
Oh, babe. I believe in you wholeheartedly, and I couldn't have done this with anyone else.
Thanks, Dad. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. Well, I'll talk to you later.
I love you forever, and thank you for being you.
I love you too. Bye.
Bye.
Come on, Dad!
She was shocked.
How did that make you feel?
Amazing. Thank you for allowing me to have this kind of experience.
You're welcome. Give me a hug, Faith.